things are not going to happen the way that I want to all the time, which means that I can already prepare myself to figure out how to respond and react when it doesn't. You ever record a podcast and forget to turn on the audio? That was me for 26 minutes and 48 seconds. But, the better part about doing that is being able to see how you've been delivered from the way that you've reacted before. Because I remember, especially being a content creator, you want everything to be perfect as it can be, and one little detail can cause you to go out of whack. And in that moment, I could have chosen to be really upset about the fact that 26 minutes of value is not going to be seen to an audience. I can just start the camera again. But the biggest lesson in that is making sure that your energy doesn't get out of whack, because the minute you let a moment overtake who you are and how you can continue to show up, it's the minute that is so far gone. Like you're going to have to keep going through those kind of tests until you realize this is not the way that I should be responding to this. I've had to learn that lesson so many times, and while I would love to talk about what I just talked about unscripted for 26 minutes again, I feel like this is a little bit more of a topic that's closer to my heart because it's something that I've personally had to be delivered from. And getting angry about situations that I have no control over, I simply missed a step. But every time I do it, it reiterates, don't do this when it really matters. Say, for example, I needed audio to be on for a wedding that I was filming. Yeah, I don't think we can come back from that. We would be able to. It would just be really hard on us mentally and obviously for the other people involved. So, in telling you that little story, let's talk about today's topic, which is navigating life when it doesn't go your way. I could talk about this for hours, but I won't. We're going to just talk about 3 things that we can do to get out of that headspace, because while we can honestly always talk about how many moments we have been in that space, I think it's better to talk about how we consistently can pull ourselves out of spaces that don't serve us. So when I've started to notice that I am responding to life and it's not maybe giving me what I want, I tell myself the only thing I can control is how I respond to this. And I know that maybe you've heard that in some way, shape, or form by someone you love, couldn't care less about. I appreciated hearing that phrase because it makes you realize that is the only thing that you truly have control over, is how you respond and react to things. Maybe it wasn't me not focusing on the equipment that needed to be on, but maybe for you it's working with a coworker. That's something that most, if not all of us, have experienced at one point in our lives, which is, talking about different things. That alarm really threw me off, so I'm not going to worry about that right now. That is something that I like. Oh my gosh, perfect example. My alarm just went off and it completely threw off my train of thought. I would love to stay on a roll for 20 minutes on a podcast, knowing that other people that create podcasts don't do that. They're chopping it up, they're making it seem seamless, and that, I think, is the first problem in identifying how to stay away from it, is knowing that our environments, the digital age that we live in, that has created an unrealistic reality for us that things have to be just right all the time. And when they're not, we're wrong. Or when they're not, something is not in alignment with us. I have really taken some time to think about the content that I consume, the experiences that I'm living. All of this stuff is through trial and error. And at some point, I don't fail as much as I succeed. And then I move on and do different things. Slowing down and really tuning in on what the actual issue is rule number 1 when navigating when life doesn't go your way. I realize things are not going to happen the way that I want to all the time, which means that I can already prepare myself to figure out how to respond and react when it doesn't. And will I always hit the mark? No, I won't, because these are growing pains, and I have had people that have lived twice as long as me, and I've lived twice as long as others. It's just different moments in life. But identifying and recognizing that it's not always going to be a one size fits all is the first step in navigating life when it doesn't go your way. And I'm really passionate about this topic because I think it's easy to find ourselves in spaces where we are in such a flow state. Life is going so good. And then that one thing happens that kind of throws you off. And then all of a sudden it's a domino effect. It's because in your mind, which is point number 2, in your mind, you think that if something goes that way, it's also going to go that way for a long time. And it's easier to focus on the bad than it is the good, especially if you've been in environments where bad is normal or bad is regular. So when you get good, you know it's only for a moment, or you think it's only for a moment. Rewiring the way that you are in every situation is so pivotal to the life that you're going to be living. Because at some point, you stop blaming your parents, your friends, your environment, and it becomes your responsibility to be joyful, to find the joy in these moments. And you may not be in a season to receive what I just said well, and maybe you are in a season to receive that well, but that is up for you to decipher how long you want to stay where you're at if you're not happy, or how long you want to stay where you're at when you are happy, when you are joyful. It's kind of like this quote I saw a long time ago. It said, gaining weight is hard, so is losing it, but you have to choose your hard, because either way you decide to go, it is going to be a hard life for you. You're either going to have to maintain keeping the weight off, or you're going to have to maintain living well, because your body's organs can't function with all the junk food and lack of exercise that you're putting into yourself. I've been on both sides. And I think when we're realistic with our environment and we are kind of in the consciousness of knowing that I can change the way that my life is going because I'm aware of what's going on around me. Sometimes people don't know that they can break out of this mental cycle of their life of something always constantly going wrong. And it's because they're so used to it. Even if it continues to happen, the way to break that cycle is to focus on good that came out of it. And I know it's so much easier said than done, trust me. But for example, if I am in traffic and I'm thinking to myself, it's been a long work day and I just want to get home, I can find joy in those moments. I can play my favorite songs. I can call people I haven't talked to for a while because I know I have 30 minutes, 45 minutes in traffic till I get home. Those are fruitful conversations I can create in moments that I feel like I don't have any time because I'm so busy with work. I'm so busy with creating content. Like, everyone's so busy. But you can find time in the moments that you are complaining to put yourself in better environments and better mental environments first before you start seeing the fruits of your labor in physical environments. And then the last point is to just be patient. As you know, if you've been following this podcast, I am very big on my faith journey. And if you're not, don't click off. Have an open mind. I really want you to hear this next and last point. I've read that I forget what verse it is, but what may seem like years for us is but a minute in the eyes of God, because God lives outside of time, which means that it may have taken us 5 years to get a promotion, or it may have taken us 7 years to finish college. Whatever your story, whatever your testimony looks like, it may have felt like a long time, but in the grand scheme of things, it is but a blimp on the timeline of your life. And the patience, I think, helps you really elevate in steps 1 and 2, which is just overall focusing on how you are in every moment of your life. It's like the worst of the worst happens to you, and that may be tough because those are emotions that are new. You haven't really figured out how to deal with that. But at the core of who you are, you know it's not lashing out. You know it's not, being upset in just in moments that don't allow you to be logical in your thought process, but also emotional in that thought process and in a healthy way. Patience, it truly is a virtue. And when you can have more moments that challenge you to be patient, I think you'll start really seeing that this is something that God's really trying to put in front of my face so that I don't have to keep taking the same test. There is a movie, it's an older movie, it's called Evan Almighty, and there is a scene in there that I remember, and the scene is God, portrayed in this movie, is talking to this woman saying, if someone prays for, strength, do you think God is just going to give them strength? Or is he going to give them the opportunity to acquire strength in those moments? Same thing with confidence. You think that, he's just going to say, here you go, confidence. No. You're going to be put in moments that feel really scary, but there are also moments that fear can turn into faith. That fear can turn into being confident about talking about a topic you know a lot about, but the eyes on you is what is throwing you off. You continue to do more of those moments. Those are moments that put you in a space of confidence, that put you in areas where you're like, that wasn't so bad. I can actually do that again and not throw up in my mouth. Those are, I think, the top 3 things in navigating life when things don't go your way, that have really put me in a headspace of joy for most of my moments. I'm still human, and I'm not always going to be joyful, and life still happens. But for the most part, I want to have this sense of self, knowing that, it is going to be tough, whatever way I look at it. But how I respond to it and how other people experience me in those responses is solely up to me. And it's so easy to get there using those 3 steps. But the consistency, the frequency of how much you do that is going to be up to you to feel and see the fruits of your labor, to be planting a seed and seeing the harvest next season. It just depends on how bad you want it. And some people's journey takes longer than others, but that doesn't mean that you should stop just because someone who's also on that journey with you in different ways reached their harvest season sooner. You don't know if they're about to go into another season that they have to plant and wait for another harvest season. Let the rain grow them as a plant, as someone who is being planted in this season. So I hope that gives you a little bit more clarity, and I hope that my actual life experiences of having a whole 30-minute podcast before talking to you for another almost 15 minutes gives you a sense of peace and knowing that you're not the only one that goes through this, filling your day with people and experiences that speak to more of what you want knowledge of and more of what you want to be of is important. That's why your ear and eye gates are so important. You have to figure out, what are you filtering yourself? What are you listening? What are you looking at? It's important to know what that is, because that's going to be a direct reflection of who you are, who you become, based off of what you listen to and what you look at. And that's why it is imperative to be really keyed in and mindful of that. But nonetheless, I hope that this podcast episode has helped you out. And I know at the end of the day, even if it gets 10 views, it has helped me out because I was able to see my fruits in that moment. I was able to know I've been delivered from moments where I used to get so volatile. Is so dramatic, but I just used to get so upset that I did not record good audio, as if I couldn't still put the piece out. So don't make life harder than it already is. Focus on finding more moments of peace, stress-free, and happiness. I will see you guys in the next episode of Party One Podcast. Peace.